Get to the chopper now! If you want to have your own miniature, let's say real working RC Formula 1 car, the Action stores actually got something pretty cool now. So we have this 27 MHz frequency RC racing Formula 1 cars, and these things are really cute. However, beside the cuteness, these things are like super cool to play inside of your home. Of course, you can drive around outside if you want to. Because of the Formula 1 car, you're going to be needing a very smooth surface. So today we're going to be playing around with this thing to see how accurate is it. With affordable solutions, this is on 1/24 scale, so it's absolutely tiny, and I'm just really curious if this thing is going to be any fun and how fast is it. I've been reviewing all kinds of different products, let's say Action products, and similar stores over here that have all kinds of basic solutions, but this is some really old school stuff. So also when it comes to the controls itself, I've noticed, and whoa, this is like a lot of words. Okay, what the heck? Like, is this really a manual or it's like an overall documentation, whatever. So if you're going to be looking into the Formula 1 car, so this can be an interesting, let's say, solution where this thing has like a massive antenna. I have seen it before, simply because you need to make like certain concessions when it comes to these, let's say, plug and play, let's say, very affordable basic things. And yeah, oh man, the controls, you know, I'm not a big fan of these like micro switch controls. It is a way to drive, but you know, that is one of the many concessions I have seen throughout the under the $10 solution. 27 MHz is something of a thing you don't see it every single time. They are switching between 27 MHz and 2.4 GHz, and I'm personally a fan of the 2.4 GHz, but the simple reason is going to be like awesome to actually have like a very comfortable tiny remote, but not like a massive antenna. So for the batteries, we're going to be using A-Force from the Action. Nope, this video isn't sponsored, but the A-Force batteries are quite well when it comes for, let's say, playing around. So I had been looking into different solutions, maybe rechargeable batteries from GP, but the downside is these things have different voltages, so you're going to be having less power. So with these tiny devices, I think we do have like a noticeable difference, but it is still a fun overall solution. So the, let's say, cheaper version of the Panasonic, I would not recommend that because those are not for heavy duty, but these gold Panasonics are another way to play. So double check if you're going to be buying batteries that you're getting the good one. For the remote, it's not like the, let's say the remote can be a cheap solution, that is not a problem, but if you're going to be using it for an RC car itself, there the battery is going to be really important. Otherwise we're going to be not having like the maximum speed, and particularly acceleration. That is going to be like the biggest difference. So let's put the best batteries inside of the RC car and also turn off the switch to off. And so far nothing really happens, but for make sure that this thing doesn't do some weird things, so let's do that. Let's plug in the AA batteries and let's have some fun. So the batteries are in, so let's connect it. But first let's do a quick overview. So we do have a very nice travel of the front wheels with nice, very soft rubber. So we're going to be having a very nice contact with the surface. We can adjust it if this thing doesn't align and this is going some weird ways. And yeah, that's it. Ready to go. Let's grab myself like the RC and let's see how fast this thing is. So the overall micro switches are really responsive, and I think that due of not having a travel, an instant, let's say, click, you can find absolutely not like a lot of delay, and woohoo, this thing is really fast. You can see how fast it is. I did notice it with, let's say, cheaper RC cars that they have like this amazing overall acceleration. So this is going to be fun. So I think it's still way too big when it comes for just putting this on the table and mess around. So I'm going to be putting this thing on the ground. This thing feels quite sturdy, so I think that can handle and crash. So let's see what's going on. Let's put this thing on the ground later on. So let's do a little bit of zooming out. So on the table it's okay, we're just giving you a great example how fast this thing is. But I think you have like a couple of these things, you can do some really cool racing. However, with the micro switches, you need to get used to the overall situation, and I already crashed it from the table. And you know, let's put this thing on the ground. So now this is perfectly, like you can have like the best overall, let's say, experience this way, but the micro switches is something you need to get used to. We cannot say like we're going to be using a certain amount of percentages for making a turn. We just need to actually just have like full turning position, as you can see over here. This is actually the overall, let's say, turning point of, let's say, the RC car. And I can tell you that this thing, it almost fits under the freaking freezer over here. But the overall experience is kind of fun. And I think if you like making a track, this thing can do a lot of cool things. With the simple reason because of the overall construction. And I can tell you that this thing is really awesome. So I am not disappointed. Despite this thing is still using a lot of old technology when it comes to the remote itself. I don't notice any weird delays or anything going on, and the overall speed is more than enough. And if you have a big room, you can make yourself a track and you can have a lot of fun when it comes to driving around with this thing. There are many different ways to play, and I love to pick up these, let's say, simple RC cars. The radio control, let's say remote, is kind of cool, but it's not like the best way, of course, to play. But with these, let's say, simple, affordable solutions, they are going to be chipping out on some of the things. You can see that the tires are getting really filthy because of the, like say, rubbery, sticky situation you're having with the wheels, but they're going to be needing that for the best overall contact and having the best acceleration on different surfaces. However, this car, it's a very cool made thing. It can actually like withstand some crashes. I had a lot of fun today to actually doing this F1 mini review. And if you can find one of these things in the Action Store or maybe on AliExpress, and I think they're like absolutely worth picking up if you can buy them under 10 bucks. Thank you all for watching, and it will be great to see you in the next video.